Well, hello everyone and welcome to the webinar. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so proud to be partnering with Benestar to really help you during this challenging time. And I'm really excited to share all the practical strategies that you can do as a parent to support your children. Oh my goodness, and what have we got now? We've got a coronavirus world. So you'll get lots of practical and positive tips. Thanks for being here. And let's get started. So the first thing we want to talk about is the impact that this situation can have on your children. And most of this webinar is what can you do as a parent to help your children, answering their questions, reassuring them, teaching them soothing and calming techniques, how you can limit media access or educate them about the media so that it's not too frightening, and so that you can focus on the positive as a household, building your child's resilience. But there is a section that's also just about you, and that is the importance of self-care. Now, I'm Dr. Rosina McAlpine, and I'm the CEO of Win-Win Parenting, and I've partnered with Benestar to make sure that you've got all the help and support that you need through this challenging time. So throughout this webinar, we're going to be doing little polls, little surveys, simply asking you, what are your greatest challenges and what do you need, so that we can make sure we can get these programs to you as fast as possible. Now, just to let you know that we will be giving you a handout at the end of this with the replay, when the replay comes, so that you can have all the resources and a summary and the links that we talk about today, so that you can share that with your partner at home. You can review it again if you need some help, and the recording will be available for a few weeks so that you can review it again and again as you need, or share it with your partner. Now, as always, we make sure that this webinar is for educational purposes only. It's not intended as advice. So we just want to give you good ideas. You're your best expert at home, so we want to just give you some ideas that will really support you. Now, this is going to be an interactive webinar, and we're going to ask you to type your comments throughout. The only person that sees the responses are me as the presenter. So please feel free and comfortable to put your responses in. Now, I'm going to start with a really big question, and that is, what are your biggest challenges right now in this self-isolation juggle? Do you have the kids at home? Are you trying to homeschool? Are you trying to work with dogs barking in the background? What's your biggest challenges right now? Please write them down and write them throughout the webinar, because as we review this webinar afterwards, we're going to be preparing programs to support you. So thank you, everyone. Please keep writing, what's your biggest challenge in your self-isolation life juggle? Now, while you do that, let's just start with, what is the impact of this on children? So the first thing is, we want to look at the impact of the coronavirus as a major event. Not only is it a major event for children, it's a worldwide pandemic. So it's a major event for all of us. So if we were going to define what a major event is, it's any incident as experienced by a child as frightening or traumatic. Now, other major events would be accidents, bullying, loss of family, friends, and pets, which you might be having lots of challenges now with loss of friends, in the sense that you can't see each other anymore, they're out of school now, natural disasters, witnessing something terrible happening in the media, and of course, this mass traumatic event, this worldwide coronavirus pandemic, which has completely turned our lives upside down. Now, children respond completely differently to major events. There's no typical reaction. When you look at the research, if there's been a major event in a child's life, there's a whole range of reactions. So what I'd like you to do is to consider what's happening with your child. Some children, especially young ones, could be unaware. They're just behaving as usual. There's no change except mummy or daddy might be home more often, but there's not actually too much change. Other kids will know exactly what's going on, but they're resilient, they're flexible. They're the easy children that when you make a change in the schedule, they can manage it, no problem. So they exhibit those coping strategies. We might go to the other end of the extremes where we've got children who are unconcerned and exhibiting reckless behavior. And you've seen that in the media where lots of, law enforcement officers, government officials are really concerned because teens are exhibiting reckless behavior. They're going out and having COVID-19 parties so that they can all get ill together, or they're just ignoring, social distancing. So these are just some of the typical, reactions, because there's no typical reactions, some of the different reactions that children can exhibit. Now, there's a range of reasons, and a range of reactions. How are your children reacting? Can you tell me, is your child oblivious to this? Is your child acting out? Is your child frightened? Are they resilient? What is happening in your home? Now, a lot of things could be happening. They could be sad or teary and feel grief and loss that they haven't got, you know, their friends. They might be confused, feeling, confused, and where are my friends, and why can't I go to school, and how come I can't go to the park, and why can't I go out and be with my friends? Teenagers might say, I'm not going to die from it, it's just a cold. They might be fearful, anxious, feeling unsafe. There might be anger and mixed emotions. Definitely there could be confusion and decreased concentration, especially when, oh my goodness, they're trying to do, all of a sudden they're doing all of their work online instead of at home where they used to be. So there can be so much confusion going on at the moment for our children, and everyone could be reacting in different ways. So helping us understand how your children are reacting will help us be able to develop the programs that you need. Someone was saying, my child's feeling abandoned, my child's feeling lonely, my child's feeling confused. These are all very normal reactions. And here are some more. You might find that they are, you know, a bit more insecure and a bit more clingy than usual as well. And you might even find regression. You might find that, what they used to do before for themselves, like brushing their teeth, getting dressed, and all of that, but having you around right now means that they've now regressed in getting you to do everything. So I'm seeing all of these reactions. Thank you so much for everyone typing this in. We're going to review this at the end and make sure that we've got programs that can really support you. Headaches, stomach aches, difficulty sleeping. We've really got to watch our adolescents, making sure that if they feel isolated, that their mental health issues, that they're not having mental health issues, that they don't try and sneak alcohol or self-harm. Just be really careful and watch those suicidal thoughts. Yes, there's some regressing of bedwetting again. Yes, definitely there are challenges. Moody teenagers. Thanks, everyone. All right. So everyone's having different reactions. And guess what? You've got to be able to deal with all of that on top of everything that you're doing. So this is why we've got this webinar. What can parents and carers do to support their children? The upset, the crying, the anxiousness, the anger, all of these things on top of trying to do your work, on top of trying to run a home. Yep, completely understand that. So first things first, and this is why I'm starting here. You might have children who are just stir crazy now, especially little ones that can't go to the park anymore, can't go to play group. And so the question is, are you managing? Are you okay? For those of you who are trying to work at home and you've got the dog barking, the kids interrupting, you just don't know how you can manage all of the things. You're trying to manage teams. How are you okay? And a lot of people are saying, yeah, I'm not okay, not really. Yeah, so overwhelmed. Yeah, absolutely. And that totally makes sense. Some are saying we're fine. Okay, great. That's good. Some people are fine. Some are a bit at capacity. Now, I know for people who are trying to homeschool, take care of the home, do their work, it can get overwhelming. And so I think it's really important that you first and foremost look at your relationship. If you're in a relationship and you're trying to manage this, how is your relationship? How is your relationship with the kids? How is your relationship with you? Remember, you're a role model. The kids are watching you at all times, how you're managing. So first and foremost, if you are going to support your children, you need to support yourself. If you're not coping, you need to seek advice. So need to seek support. Now, Benestar is here to help. That's why you have an EAP provider. Now, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to be showing you the phone numbers you can contact, plus not just Benestar, but other support mechanisms that you can get for your mental health and well-being and being able to survive and support yourself and your children at this time. So step number one for taking care of your children is to take care of yourself. So take care of your family by taking care of yourself. Put on your oxygen mask. Now you might say to yourself, how? How? Oh, for goodness sake, how are we going to be able to put on our own oxygen mask? And the key is, I know that your self-care has changed. You might have been out, running, going to the gym, doing yoga classes, whatever it is that you used to be doing, getting a massage, have coffee with friends, all of that might have changed now. So you've got to find a new form of oxygen mask, a new form of self-care. And that could be as simple as taking an extra long shower and having a few minutes by yourself. It could be going to bed a little bit earlier. It could be having a nap with the children during the day. It could be setting the children a 15-minute task and going and reading a book for yourself. It could be all together listening to relaxing music or all sorts of things. So definitely try and find even small ways you can put on your oxygen mask. And of course, see what you can do together. If you're okay and your partner's okay, you're going to be a fantastic role model for your children. And it's at times like these that, if you're on your own, fine, I get it. That makes it a bit harder. So you might need a virtual friend, right? A virtual friend. Give them a ring, be buddies, be virtual buddies and talk to each other. If you've got shared care with your children, why not try and get on just that little bit better at this point in time where you can? So all these things we're going to make, thank you for everyone saying these are good ideas, just little things that you can do either by yourself or together with the children will make a huge difference at managing in these tough times. So once you've taken that first step, and some people are saying, I'm a single parenting and finding it very tough. Absolutely. And that's why we start this webinar saying, there's no one solution for all families. You've got to do what you've got to do in your situation. But when I asked the question, how are your children going? Many of you wrote anxious, scared, worried, acting out. So what that means is that it's really important to make time to talk. Now, I know your time is so precious and so time poor, but it's just if you can talk 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day, checking in first thing in the morning or checking in the evening, or maybe you're having lunchtime check-ins, those sorts of things. So making time to talk. Now, if you've got very, very young children, just listen to their fears and listen to what they're hearing, what they know. You might be surprised if you ask them. So they might say things like, oh my goodness, am I going to die? Is grandma going to die? Are we going to be all right? Do you see what I mean? It's very, very challenging to know what's going on in their little heads unless you ask the questions and leave the space. So make time to listen, whether you've got a very young child or you've got an older child, a teenager or anything in between, giving them the opportunity to share and open up with you. The calmer you can be and listening and not interrupting or interjecting, but just listen. Think of yourself like a GPS. When you put in the address you have to download the directions, right? So in order for you to go from here to where you want to go, you've got to let the GPS download the best route. And it's the same thing here. Let your children talk to you, let them download so you can see where they are at, so that you can know the route to bring them to mental and physical well-being and to feel safe. Answer the questions as truthfully as possible. Obviously, age appropriately. So if you've got very, very young children, then you would just talk to them in simple language. It's like a cold, it's like a virus. And the reason why we're being put indoors is because we want to keep everybody safe. But don't worry, there's plenty of experts out there, doctors and nurses, who are trying to look after everybody. So you have very, very simple. And don't tell more than they ask. Only if they ask something do you answer the question. Whereas older teens, someone says, for my teens, it's very challenging is there's so much misinformation. Exactly. And that's where it's really important for the older ones to give them the best information that you can, based on, government, World Health Organization. And again, these are things where you've got to be able to make the right decision for your family and your children, and how old they are and how capable they are. The other thing that's really important is sharing your feelings. Maybe you can say, look, I'm a bit worried too, but the way I manage my worry is to take deep breaths and know, look, our family's safe. We're all indoors. We've got everything we need. We know that there are people out there looking after us. So yes, I feel a little bit worried, but when I take a deep breath and when I look at you, I know that everything's going to be all right. So if you share your emotions and feelings, they're going to be in a better position to be able to share theirs. So make time to talk, just time to be together. And it doesn't have to be a long time, it just has to be quality time. Explain the situation, normalize it, but don't minimize it. So this is not a normal situation, but normalize your life as much as possible and don't minimize their feelings. For some children, they won't be able to talk, but they might be able to draw or journal if they can't express it. So give those ideas a go. All right, it's time for a survey. I'd really love your support in helping us know what you need. So I'm going to put up a short survey, and if you can spend a few minutes just answering these questions. So we're opening up the poll. It's just being distributed. If you can see it. What we want to know is we want to know what programs would support you to better manage your new work home life. Now, if you think all of these topics are important, just click all of the topics. If you think that some are more important than others, but know that you can pick as many topics as you need, because we want to be able to support you in all of the areas. Now, the polls are still going up now. I'm just going to keep it open for another 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've got 75% voting and it's still going. Okay, keep voting, everybody. Keep voting. I'll leave it open for a few more seconds and then I'm going to show you the results, because I want you to be able to see for yourself what are the proportions. Okay, one more minute, one more second, and then I'm going to close up now. We've got 82%. Okay, well done, everyone. 82% voting, 84. We're nearly at 100%. Okay, come on, everyone. Let's try to get to 100%, and then I'm going to close down the poll, and then you can see the results. Are there any more takers? We've got 84% who have voted, 85%. All right, I'm going to close the poll now. Well done, everybody. So let me share it with you. This is what people need. And so these are the programs that we will be developing over the time as fast as we can. Many people said all of the topics, we need them all. Some people said it's about resilience and self-esteem. You can see that the top one is managing emotions for a calmer household and effective communication, right up there with resilience, and talking to children about COVID came in last, but we're going to be able to talk more about that, and perhaps you've already talked about that. So let's resume. Thank you everyone for sharing. We've got 2 more polls, so for those topics that we want to share. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is, do you know, when you feel helpless, Children, when they feel helpless, they feel more anxious. So what you can say is tell them we can be really practical. There's so much that we can do to make this situation better. And it starts with simple practical things like hand washing, teaching your children to hand wash correctly and regularly, making sure that if they are still going to school, if they are in public care, if you're, in the emergency services or an essential worker and you have got your children at school or care, that they are learning not to share foods, to wash their hand regularly, to do that as soon as they come home. And even in the home, learning it for future. These are great life skills. Other things can be tell them how important they are in your home, that the way they can support you in their home is to help with the cleaning, to help with emotional regulation, to help their siblings, to help their siblings through the day. All of these things are practical things that your children can do from toddler to teen to make them feel like they're making a difference. Now, we know that with young children indoors, it can be stir crazy. If they can't go out and do some running, if you've got a backyard, try and let them run outside. If you're cooped up in a unit, you can't do that. It makes it more difficult. You may need to think of indoor activities, creating climbing, crawling, little obstacle courses that they can do in the house, making, putting on videos for dance and movement, because they might go stir crazy and you might find that they're in overwhelm. So we need to teach calming techniques, whether you've got tiny children or whether you've got teenagers. Our teenagers can be very concerned about this whole situation, especially if they're, reading misinformation on social media. So we need to teach calming techniques. So what techniques do you use? What techniques do you use to calm yourself? Do you use breathing? One of the things that's really helpful for kids is to teach them to count out of order. So when they get really upset, go, okay, let's play the game of counting out of order. 9, 3, 16, 2, 4. And you can play the game with each other because it takes you out of that emotion and into the thinking. And so someone's just said, if you've got a balcony and some camping gear, you can make a camping adventure on the balcony. Exactly. The more creative you can be, the better the situation. So some people are saying, mindfulness. Now, your body scan is really something very easy you can teach toddler to teen. So you just sit down and you say, okay, we're just going to scan our body. Now, just feel, sense, work out where your head is in space. Give it a little move side to side. Now, relax your face, relax your jaw. Then roll your shoulders back and forward. Are they calm? Lift them up, let them down. Feel your breath in your tummy, breathing out with a big tummy, breathing in. Relax your legs, scrunch your toes and then let them go. Simple things like that can really help us bring us back into the moment. The other thing is very important, calming self-talk. Are they saying, I'm okay, I'll be okay, everything will be all right, this is just temporary, everything will go back to normal, those sorts of things. Some people are saying camping in the backyard, picnic in the backyard, all sorts of things. Some people are saying, what about children who refuse to do any of these activities? That's when you can say to them, okay, no problem. You come up with 3 or 4 or 5 activities that you'd like to do to calm down and I'll do them with you. Put the onus on them. Give them the opportunity to come up with some ideas and maybe give them a whole laundry list. Is it going to be lying down and listening to music? Is it going to be doing some yoga? Is it going to be getting a video online? Another example is treasure hunts around the house. I love it. Every strategy that you're using, please, please, please keep them coming, because I will share them, all the strategies that you're using at the moment. And what about hand holding? Teach your children from toddler to teen when they go to bed to actually hold their own hand. Now, sometimes we won't have anybody else around us, but we can always be there for ourselves. Just feel how comforting it is. Try it right now. Right now, just grab your own hands, hold them together, and imagine that someone's holding your hand right now, or you're reaching out and holding someone else's hand. That's an amazing way to just self-soothe, positive self-talk and self-soothing. You might want to get, kids love apps. Why not get a meditation app or a yoga app? And, of course, doing it together. Oh, I'm glad you like the self-soothing with holding hands. It really works a treat. And you can do it just before they go to bed. Hold your own hand. There's another one. Put your hand on your belly and on your heart and give yourself a self-hug. Absolutely. Apps, try those. Now, sometimes none of that is going to work and you might need professional help. How are you going to know? First of all, if you've got a feeling, then follow that instinct. If your child's exhibiting any of the symptoms or their behaviors worsen, then maybe it's time to seek professional help. There might be severe reactions for more than a few days. If your child is unable to return to normal daily functioning, Lifeline suggests, a period of 4 to 6 weeks. We have got a new normal that we've got to get used to, but get immediate help if there's any talk of self-harming or suicide or suicidal thoughts. All right, we're up to another survey. So get ready. Try and be as fast as you can so that we can get 100% this time. Let's see. I'm launching it. What are some programs that you would need to help you with your new work life? All of these topics, self-care strategies. So I've given you just a few, but there are plenty more that we can offer. Limiting screen time, keeping kids busy, talking to children about finances. Some people have got reduced pay, reduced hours, they're uncertain about their job, wanting to save a little bit. What activities can we do on a reduced budget? So please, we're up to 62% now. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's try and get to a little bit long, as up to the 80, 85%. We got to 86% last time. So please fill in the topics that are of most interest to you, that you would like programs about to help you manage the day-to-day new normal that you've got at home. So we've got 80%. So I'm going to count from 5 to 1 and then we're going to close the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to close the poll and share the results. 83%, 84%. Well done, everyone. Okay. So here are the results. The results are, we've got 22% saying everything, 55% self-care, fantastic. Make sure you're looking after yourself. It's going to be the foundation. Limiting screen times right up there and keeping kids busy. Not so much with the finance. Okay, that's great. Oh, sorry, I hadn't shared the results. Here they are. Someone said I can't see the results. I'm just sharing them now, sorry. So we can see that right up the top is keeping kids busy. Next is self-care strategies. Next is limiting screen time. And right down the bottom is financial impact and how we're going to talk to our kids about maybe, tightening the budget a little bit while we're in period of uncertainty. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you let me know if I do something like that. So can everyone see the screen again now? I think we're all back to screen. So now, really important to limit media access. Now, I know that you want to be on top of, what's happening, but try and be very careful with the access that you're giving kids to the media. If they're under 8 years old, it's best to minimize or take access away from the media because it can really scare them. And I know that some children have access to, schoolwork's all on iPads and, they've got access to the media through that. But if you can do whatever you can to limit the access to media for children under 8 years old, because they can see some things that are far beyond their understanding and it can make them really scared. Hearing, thousands upon thousands of people dying, more and more people getting sick, it's very challenging. Now, if you've got older children, as you said, we can't limit the access. They've got phones, they've got tablets, Some people are saying some kids are watching Behind the News. That's the BTN Behind the News that are for kids, and that's really helping because it's at a kids level. Yes. So for those of you who don't know BTN, you can look it up on the internet. BTN Behind the News. It's a news channel for kids if you'd like them to access that. But for your older children who are hearing all of this scary information, make sure you sit down and talk about the media. Now, we know media sensationalizes things. We know media goes over and over and over the worst things. You don't hear very much good news. You only get difficult news, negative news, the challenges that are happening, the sensationalism. So it's really important to talk to children saying, look, there's so much good stuff going on in the world that's just not making the media right now. Everything is just on COVID, 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 talking about numbers and, increases and death and shutdowns and lockdowns. So tell them to be very mindful that they're not seeing the full picture. They're not seeing the full news that's happening in the world, and certainly to notice in your own household that everything is okay. Now, at a time like this, especially with all that negative news, sometimes we forget to focus on the positive little things. Like, look at this image here. We've got a dad with their child on a bike, focusing on the positive little things. Get on a bike into the sunshine. If you've got a trampoline, walking in the backyard, turning on the hose onto each other if you don't have water restrictions at your place, playing with the dog, running around, creating an obstacle course, doing all those things, that whatever you can do to be a little bit grateful. The other thing is just look around in your house and maybe just say to your kids, all right, we're going to look for 10 things that we're going to be grateful for. Because if we're always focusing on what we don't have our friends, we don't have our teachers, we don't have enough toilet paper, whatever it is that you're focusing on that you don't have, right? Really important to start to look at what you do have. So you can say, we've got each other, we've got hot water, we've got a home, we've got beautiful food, we've got technology to access, we've got toys, we've got sunshine, we've got air to breathe. Anything that you get, we've got books to read, we've got games to play, we've got all sorts of things that you can do. So, it's very, very important to start having gratitude. Taking time out to relax together, and people are saying here, but how do you fit the fun activities when you're working? Absolutely. And that's where that 5-minute break, that 10-minute break, that power fun time. So running up and down the stairs 10 times, or throwing a ball at each other and counting to 100. Just some really small things. Movie nights, game nights, all of those things. Connecting with families and friends online, looking for the good aspects in life, enjoying the simple, simple things like a hot shower, like, putting on a dance and shaking it off for 5 minutes. Absolutely. Shake it off, shake it off. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't do that, should I? Got a bit carried away there. Okay, have fun and laughter. Really important to try and find some fun together. Now might be a time. Thank you for laughing. Thank you for laughing with me. I really appreciate it. You're very, very kind. Okay, having fun together, like now, not getting too serious, right? So what can you do? A funny movie, dance parties. What about, yeah, exactly right. If we don't laugh, we cry. What about karaoke? Who knows? Right? Learning a new language together. So where are we up to? We're up to the last part. We're in a major event right now, and one that we probably couldn't have foreseen. So it's tipped our worlds upside down. We're out of balance. But the beautiful thing about that is that it's a major event, and with coping skills, we've been through major events many, many times in our lives, right? Many, many times. Moving house, all sorts of things that have happened, maybe losing a pet, changing jobs, having serious illnesses. We've all had major events in our lives. We've just gone through the bushfires and the floods, and so we've developed support coping skills, and that's really what we want to do. We want to develop those support and coping skills so that we can right our world again. The most important thing is that, you know what? When you look at the research, no matter what children have been through, most children will experience healing and recovery following the major events. And it's true, we've got a lot of loss of social contact, very, very hard. But now we're going to be reworking our lives and developing new strengths and new strategies and new ways of connecting with each other. The most protective factor for your child is your relationship with them, how you are with them right now. And I know that we can't go to the beach and we can't go to the park, and I'm sorry I've shown this picture, but it just seemed like such a loving family. We can do these cuddles and tickles indoors, right? Now, I just want to be clear that I get it, that it's going to be really hard and there's going to be some challenging times. But if we can, remember, we're the parent, and let's not try and make things worse. Let's try and be kind to each other. One of the things that you can do at home from here on in is to say, hey, in our house, for example, my name's Dr. Rosina McAlpine. We're Team McAlpine, right? So whenever things go wrong, you go, hang on a sec, it's Team McAlpine. Team McAlpine. How can Team McAlpine get back on track? We're all here to help each other through this time. We can't be at each other. We need to be, together. And of course, mum and dad are going to make mistakes. We're going to yell sometimes. Help us get back on track. What can you do to help this household work well? All right, we've got our last survey. I'm just going to put up our last survey with our last poll for today. So let's see if we can get 90% this time. For all of you who have joined, big effort now. 90%, let's go. These are the topics. Staying positive when times are tough, what can you do? Managing sibling rivalry and family fights, what can you do? How do you create routines that are flexible to help you get everything done? The homeschooling, the work, the housework, all of those things. And how can we have a positive approach to parenting so we're not yelling at our kids, so that we are in a position where we are Team McAlpine. You're doing really well. We're up to 71%. Come on, everyone. Let's get to 80. 86% was our top score. Let's try and get beyond 86. I'm going to count down from 10 and see if we can get to 90% responses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep it coming. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Excellent. We got to our all-time high. Okay, I'm going to close the poll now, and I'm going to share the results this time to make sure that you're seeing them. So the biggest issue we've got is a positive approach to parenting, and we'll make sure that we've got that. That's what win-win parenting is about, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. We've only got a few minutes left, so I wanted to give you this information as best I can. Flexible routines is right up there. Staying positive when times are tough. And I'm glad to hear that sibling rivalry is not such a big problem. We've also got other people with all of the above. Thank you, everyone. This is so helpful for making sure that we develop the programs that are just right for you right now, what you need. Okay, so what can we do as a parent? Team McAlpine, Team Leung, Team James, Team Vodolinsky, team. We're going to work as a team now. We've got to role model empathy for the children and teach them life skills. We're the ones that are going to support our families through this challenging time. Now, you may need extra help, professional help of a doctor or a pediatrician. Now we've got online and remote access. You might want to, again, talk to the school counselor or social worker if you've got access. Benestar is there for confidential coaching and support. You can see all these numbers. And with that replay, you're going to get a summary handout plus a link to the replay so that you can access it. And the replay will be available for a while. I'm going to give you the links to Beyond Blue, to Lifeline, to Kids Helpline. All of these are great support mechanisms if you're needing a little bit extra help. Headspace for Kids is a meditation app. We've got the Australian Child and Adolescent Trauma, Loss and Grief Network can help. Way Ahead, 24-hour counselling support. Health Direct. All of these are different ways that you can support your family. So there'll be a downloadable handout. It'll include links to all of those resources. And I really, really hope these tips have helped your family, that your family will come out on top after this, lockdown, this seclusion that we've had to be in. Now, your employer appreciates your feedback. Was this webinar helpful to you? can you please give us any feedback that you want for your employer, for Benestar, to thank Benestar for putting this on for you. And of course, we're going to keep developing these programs. We want to make sure that you've got all the support you need. Now, what we want to do is, someone's just said New Zealand. I'll make sure I talk to the New Zealand managers and see what support's available in New Zealand so that we can get New Zealand specific information as well. Thank you for that. That was excellent. So please put in your responses now. We'd love your feedback. We'd love to hear from you about whether this was helpful, whether you need more. Everybody, thanks to your employer for giving you this time so that we can all be win-win families. That's what it's about, right? We want to win through this time. We want our kids to feel good, us to feel good, and our employer to feel good, that we can be in the best position we can be to support our employer. So win-win families, and you're definitely part of a win-win workplace that shares these kinds of programs with you. Yes, please share it with your partner, share it with your wives, share it with your husbands. Make sure that everyone's got the support they need. So thank you all for this great feedback. I will make sure that all of your employers are getting your thank yous and the appreciation that you're showing for these. And I'm so grateful for the feedback that you've given us for what courses you need, what are the problems you're having, so that we can serve you even better. So we're coming to the end of our time now. Thank you everyone for everything. Stay safe, be well. Remember to look for the win-win. You are amazing. How are you coping in this challenging time? Thank you so much everyone for all this amazing feedback that's coming in. And I look forward to definitely more programs with you, more support with you. Thank you for your wishes for me staying safe as well, and my family. Thank you for everything. And I'm just going to stop the recording now, but please feel free to keep putting in your responses. I will make sure that these responses get back to your employer. And thanks for all the tips. We're going to make sure we share those as well. Take good care, and thanks for being here. And Benestar wants you to be your best you. So thanks for being part of the Benestar team.